Oh my God. I've been on mute this whole time. Can you hear me now, Phil? Oh my, that's funny. Thank God Phil is here. All right, what's up, guys? I've been talking this whole time for the last 5 or 6 minutes, and I was on mute the whole time. Can you guys hear me now? Phil says yes, I can. All right, take two. What's up, guys on Instagram? I've been talking to you guys the whole time, and I've been muted. Although I think on Instagram they could hear me though. I think it was just Zoom I was muted. All right, let's rock and roll. Does anyone have any questions again regarding anything Blender, and I will answer it live, and then we will do a live tutorial. Again, the questions don't have to be complex. Nope, I can't hear you. Good one, good one. Favoritism, Phil says. Yep, traumatic testicle says, dude, your username is like I don't know what to think of your username, man. It's creative and disturbing all at the same time, but it's funny too. Kind of funny. My bad. My speakers were on off. Okay. What's the shortcut to change position of 3D cursor? So to change where your 3D cursor is, all you need to do is click on the cursor right here. You can see if you hit the T key, you have the cursor right here. And you can see that the shortcut is Shift, Spacebar, and Spacebar. So if you hit Shift, Spacebar, and right here, you could select Cursor, and then you could change the cursor. So again, he's asking what's the shortcut to change the position of the cursor? Shift, Spacebar, and you could select Cursor or hit Spacebar again, and then you could position your cursor wherever you want. And then you could hit Shift Spacebar and go to the select box once again. Did you do the procedural wall texture last time? I did not. Let me know if that answers your question, traumatic testicle. Did you do a procedure? What was the procedural wall, Ab? What was it that you wanted to do on the procedural wall? What's up, guys on YouTube? This is a live Q&A and tutorial that we do every single weeknight. And again, guys, feel free to join into the Zoom directly, because on Zoom you'll see it in full screen. Since when you were talking unmuted? No, I was muted on Zoom, man. I thought I was muted everywhere, but apparently I was just muted on Zoom. Ab, what's the procedural wall, like a procedural wall texture with roughness and cracks? Sure, let's do that. All right, guys, we're going to do a procedural wall with roughness and cracks on it. So let's get right to it. And Ab00 is asking that procedural wall with roughness and cracks on it. So let's do that. And again, guys, on Instagram, the pinned comment is there, but join in the Zoom directly and you'll be able to see it in full screen. Otherwise, you're going to have a really hard time to be able to see what the heck is going on. So again, the Zoom link is pinned, and let's get right to it. So right here, let's go ahead and do just that. So I'm just going to add in a plane. So if you want to follow along, by the way, you can. Oh, great. Now my cursor is all off center. Okay, there we go. Shift C to recenter your cursor. Is it always need a plugin to do? No, this is not going to be with a plugin. This is going to be with shader nodes. So we're going to do a little bit of nodes. I'm going to keep it simple. So I'm going to do a simple node setup to create wall with cracks, procedural wall texture with cracks and stuff. So here we're going to hit Shift A. We're going to add a plane. And in edit mode, I'm just going to scale this up a little bit. Actually, I'm just going to leave it like this for the for Instagram. That way you guys could see. All right. Then on the bottom, we're going to change this to the shader editor. Again, he's asking how to make a procedural wall with roughness and cracks and all that good stuff. I'm going to go to the material view. So to do that, I'm going to hit Z and go to material preview. and I'm going to add a new node setup. By the way, guys, let me know if I'm going too fast, because sometimes I tend to get excited and just like start going fast, and then everyone gets left behind. So just say, hey, slow down. All right, what's up, Ab? Ab decided to jump on Zoom. Smart decision. All right, so I just have a plane with a new material on it. All right, so here, let's go ahead, and I'm gonna make a simple wall with cracks, and this is gonna be just like a white wall that you would find inside of a house. Again, I'm gonna keep it simple. So right here, for a wall, obviously we already have the wall being white. So right here, out of the normal, to add some roughness to it, out of the normal, we're gonna get a bump node right here. And out of the height, so out of the height right here, we're going to get a noise. Now, the bump is going to add the illusion of bump for our wall, so it's going to be the roughness. And the noise texture is going to give us this kind of texture or deformities on the wall. Now, make sure you have Node Wrangler enabled. So we're going to go to Edit, Preferences, and under Add-ons, if you search for Node Wrangler, make sure it's enabled. Again, guys, if you want to see it in full screen, go to Zoom, as you won't see it much on Instagram. People on YouTube can see it full screen, I guess. Let me actually see. Yeah, YouTube is full screen. All right, so now that we have the noise texture and Node Wrangler enabled, let's hit Control-T. It's going to add a mapping and texture coordinate. And we're going to change this to object right here. Let's change it to object. And then right here, this is way too intense. So I'm going to put the distance. The distance is going to control how intense our bump is. So I'm going to put the distance to like 0.1 right there. So now we have a little bit of bump on the wall, as you can see. All right, very cool. I think we're also going to add some parts of the wall that are torn and there's brick behind it. That'd be kind of cool. So let's do that. All right, so we got the simplest part. We got the kind of bump or roughness for the kind of stucco wall or whatever we want it. Next, let's add the cracks. Guys, for cracks, a Voronoi texture is very good. I know the name sounds weird, but go ahead, hit Shift-A and add a Voronoi texture right there. With this, let's go ahead. Let me expand this a little bit. We're going to plug the mapping into the vector of the Voronoi. What's up, guys? We're making a wall, a procedural wall with cracks and roughness on it. Then we're going to Control-Shift left-click the Voronoi texture to preview it. Again, Control-Shift left-click. We're going to change this from F1 to distance to edge. And you can see that it gives us this kind of cell fracture effect right here. Pretty cool. By the way, guys, we have this live every weeknight. So every weeknight, same time, same place. The official community, if you need help ever or want to share your work, is BlenderMania3D.com. I'm going to post the link on Instagram and on YouTube over here. What's up, guys, on YouTube? I didn't forget about you. Don't worry. All right. So now that we got that, let's go ahead and we're going to add a color ramp after this to contrast it so that we have more of crack looking material. So Shift-A, add a color ramp, drop it after. And with this color ramp, let's bring this white slider down like so. And now you can see that basically it changes it so that we have it like so. Now, I think, let me check one thing quickly. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it like that. All right, so now we have a bunch of cracks like this. However, it looks terrible. We want to distort these cracks a little bit. So before the Voronoi texture, let's hit Shift-A, and we're going to get a mix color. So add a mixed color before the Voronoi texture right here. And let me move these over. All right, very cool. So now we got this right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to distort these vectors so that these lines aren't so straight. So in order to do that, out of B, we're going to get a noise texture right here. Noise texture. And plug the mapping into the vector of the noise texture. Just like so. So now what's happening is you can see a factor of 0 is the original vectors in slot A, and they're not distorted. A factor of 1, our vectors are being distorted by the noise texture. Pretty cool. All right, we're going to change this to linear light. And the reason we're going to do that, let's actually do that after. Well, actually, I'll do it now. You can see that when we change this factor, the texture is moving around and displacing. In order for it to not do that, we're going to change this to linear light. And now you can see that it won't displace the texture when we increase this. It will just distort the cracks. Pretty cool. So now you could feel free to put the factor up a little bit, maybe to like a 0.1. And then you can mess around with the noise texture settings. You could change the scale. You could change the detail. You could change whatever you want to kind of get the kind of look you want for the cracks. All right. Sweet. What's up, guys? We're doing a live Q&A and tutorial. We are seeing how to make a procedural wall with cracks and roughness. I'm going to put the scale of the Voronoi to 2. That way the cracks are a little bit bigger. All right. Sweet. So now that we have this, if we go ahead, let me Control-Shift left-click the principled BSDF. I'm going to select the bump here, and I'm going to hit Shift-D and just duplicate it and drop it after. And if I plug this color into the height right here of the second bump, and I put the distance, I'm going to put the distance up a little bit to like a 0.5 or so. Actually, we don't even need to. You can see that now we have cracks in the wall, just like so. However, let's say I don't want to have cracks everywhere because this looks a little bit too uniform. So if I don't want to have cracks everywhere, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to add a Musgrave texture. So right here, let's add a Musgrave texture right there. And I'm going to plug, once again, the mapping into the vector right here. By the way, guys, once again, if you want to see it in full screen, Zoom, we are on Zoom. Let me get the link for that. So let me paste it here again. That is the link for Zoom. All right. What's up, guys, on YouTube? How is everyone? I'll be done with this soon, and then anyone who has any questions regarding anything in Blender, you could ask it, and we will get to it. So right now, like I said, there's cracks everywhere. I don't want that. I want it to have cracks some places and some places no cracks. So right here, I have a Musgrave texture. If I Control-Shift left-click this to preview it, you can see what I have right here. So any black part of this texture, there will be no cracks. And any white part, there will be cracks. Or vice versa, depending on how we set it up. So here, I'm going to put the scale to like 2. And there we go. So now what we need to do is we need to combine this with the cracks right here. So the color ramp with this Musgrave. So in order to do that, and I also want to contrast this. So I'm going to add a color ramp after this Musgrave. And I'm going to bring the white slider down to contrast it. All right, so now we need to combine the cracks and this together. So we're going to get a mixed color, drop it after this color ramp, and I'm going to plug the cracks into B. So now if I put this factor to 1, again, factor of 0 is going to be 100% this one. Factor of 1 is going to be 100% the cracks. But if I put it to 1, and change this to multiply, you could see what we get right here. So again, it's going to multiply this color or this black and white map with this one. Now, again, keep in mind that black is a value of 0 and white is a value of 1. So right here, you can see that all of this right here is 0. So if we multiply 0 with anything, it's going to be 0 because 0 times anything is 0. So we're multiplying this with this, and you can see wherever there is black, there is still going to be black because, again, 0 times anything is 0, so it will be black. And white is 1. So all of this right here is a value of 1. And 1 times these values is just going to be the original values. So now we have this. So if I plug this mix color into the height instead, you could see that now, 5 hours later, I get this kind of look right here, where I have some cracks and deformities only in some parts of it. Now, what you want, you could change this from multiply. If you hold down Control and Shift and scroll your mouse wheel, you could actually change this to different kind of blend modes. Uh-oh, here we go with the crashing. So we could change this to different blend modes depending on how you want it to blend. 5 hours later. So right here, you can see we could put it to screen. And with screen, we get this right here. And we could put it to lighten. Again, you could hold down Control and Shift and scroll your mouse wheel to change the blend mode and see which one you like the best. I kind of like the lighten mode because with multiply, it's giving me this weird look with the Musgrave. So I'm actually going to change this to lighten right here. And then with the bump, it's inverted because you can see that these cracks are going upwards. So I'm going to click on invert on the bump node. So down here, why isn't things responding 5 hours later? By the way, guys, we have, again, like I said, this live stream every single weeknight. And something, oh, there we go. What is happening? By the way, if anyone has any other questions, because I'm about to end off this wall right here in a second, unless everything crashes somehow. Let me check. I got to make sure. Is this texture that will show if you 3D print this, or is it just a visual texture? It's a visual texture. However, you can make it show to 3D print. Good question. I'll show you how to make it show so that you could 3D print it. So right here on the bump, I'm going to click invert so that it's going inwards. So someone on YouTube, Box of Cannons, again, interesting username, is asking if this is a texture that is a visual texture or will show for 3D printing. So this right now is only a visual texture. This will not 3D print. But if you want to 3D print this, let me show you how to do that. So here is our wall with cracks in it. As you can see, it looks really, really nice. Let me maximize this, and I'll show the 3D printing thing here in a second. So you can see now we have a wall with cracks, and it is completely procedural. So again, we could add anything we want. So we could add a cube, for example, and give this the same material. And you can see that we got this nice crack wall right here. Very, very cool. Now, if you want to 3D print it, all you got to do, my friend, is you got to make it actual geometry. So out of the displacement right here, you want to get a displacement node right here. And then we're going to plug the mix color into this. So right here, we're going to plug this mix color into the scale right here. I always mix it if I need to plug it into the scale or the height, but I guess I'm about to see you. So right here with this displacement is going to actually displace the geometry. So, and then you could 3D print it because the geometry will be displaced. Now, the issue with this, not really an issue, but you need actual geometry for it to displace. So first things first, you need to be in rendered viewport shading mode, and you have to be in cycles, as this doesn't work if it's not in cycles. And then right here, actually, well, you were asking for 3D printing. So for 3D printing, my friend, I would actually bake this texture and then add it as a displacement image. Because this right here is still kind of going to be a texture, but I would just bake the texture and then add it as a displacement modifier and use the texture that you baked as the displacement. So I would actually do it a different way. So right here, I would just bake the texture, my friend. So I wouldn't do it the way I was about to show you. So with this texture, again, it's just a black and white image. You could bake this. And then with the baked image or texture, you could go to the modifiers. You could add a displacement modifier right here. And then you could add your image. You could add the image right here. And then the image will displace your geometry based on that. And then it will actually be geometry. So that's how I would do if you want to 3D print it. How do I oil up? What? What does that even mean? So thank you. Anytime, box of cannons. So yeah, with this, and if you want to bake this, again, make sure you're in cycles. If you go down here, you can see we have bake. And we could bake, you know, you could bake a roughness map, you could bake the color map, etc. So right here, you know, you could bake the diffuse, which is, let me see. Yeah, you could bake the diffuse right there, which is the color. And then you could just add an image texture and you could go ahead and bake it. So I would just bake it and then displace it with the displacement modifier for 3D printing. All right, besides the how do I oil up question, because I don't even know if that's Blender related. Does anyone have any questions regarding anything? What's up, Mouthpiece? And again, guys, the questions, there are no silly questions. That was really good. Thanks. Anytime. 00. Can you show the note so I can screenshot it? Dude, I'll do better than that. I'll share the dot blend. So if anyone wants any of these dot blends from tonight, I'm going to have them on BlenderMania3D.com in the public chat. So let me save this for you or anyone else who wants it, and I'm going to post it there right now. Again, guys, if you go to BlenderMania3D.com, which is the official community and site for this community, I will post the dot blend for the cracks over there. I was going to do even more on the wall, but then it'll be too long. All right, wall cracked. And let me put it there. So again, guys, BlenderMania3.com. If you go to the public chat, you just got to log in. In the top right, there is the public chat, and I will post the dot blend there. Wall cracked. Where is it? We're going to do a live tutorial in a bit as well, guys. Wall cracked. All right. The dot blend is in the public chat of BlenderMania3.com. All right. By the way, guys, once again, we do this every single weeknight and every weeknight, same time, same place. All right. Does anyone on Instagram, YouTube, or Zoom have any questions? Again, they could be simple questions. It could be more complex. Whatever the question is, it could be geometry nodes, shader nodes, modeling, animating, texturing. But that was a good little one with the wall there. Thanks for that one. That was fun to do. By the way, another little thing you could do if you want to kind of, well, yeah, I'm not going to get into it because then unless somebody has a question, let me see. If someone has no question, then maybe I'll get into it. And if not, then I won't. Wow, that was simple. All right. I guess I'll kind of get into it. So let's say you wanted to add a brick, like a brick texture randomly here. out of the base color here, we could get a mix color. So a mix color right there. 5 hours later. And this is when I realized that I need to upgrade my computer. Right here, we're gonna take we're gonna take this color ramp from the Musgrave, and we're gonna plug that into the factor. So now anything that is white on this texture is going to be slot B. Anything that is black on this texture is going to be slot A. So on the black parts, if I want, like, let's say a brick, I could, out of A, get a brick texture. And here I'm going to have a brick texture under there. So I'm going to have like the white wall and then also some brick texture. So right here and right here, I need to change this to mix, not to color. Make sure that it's on mix, not color. Otherwise, you're going to get some weird results. And there we go. Check that out. Now we have the white wall and some kind of brick, some bricks underneath. And again, right here, it looks kind of strange because the cracks are on the bricks. So maybe I could switch this. I could put the bricks on B instead. And again, there's many things you could do with nodes. They are awesome. You could mix and match. You could do a lot of stuff. So you can see right here, I have the white wall and the bricks behind it. Of course, I could adjust this a little bit, kind of change it like so. I could adjust the color ramps maybe so it has a little bit more of a fall off. I could change these brick colors to something more bricky, if that's a word. Gosh dang it. There we go. Like that. Make the mortar white or maybe of a gray color. And I could then add a bump. I know I'm rushing through this, but if you want to see the dot blend, I'll show you. I'll post this new one on the site too if you want it. And then I could plug. Now, I don't recommend having so many bump nodes. I personally like to mix all these into one bump node, but I'm keeping it simple here. I'm going to plug this into the height, and now we're going to have the brick texture displacing or having bump to it, which is going to be super sweet. And then I'm going to put the distance on this one to 1, so that's more intense, as you can see right there. Now, right here, you can see that we have the brick bump behind the wall, which we don't want. So what we would do is we would then mix. All right, now I'm getting way too complicated. We would mix the brick with this right here. So same thing that we did before. Let me just, since I'm not really showing, I'm just kind of demonstrating here. So right here, let me change this to multiply maybe. And there we go. And then I could plug this into there. So basically, I multiplied the Musgrave with the brick so that the brick displacement doesn't show up where I don't want it to not show up. So something like that. And then, of course, like I said, you could adjust stuff. So I could adjust this like so. And maybe put this distance down to like 0.01 because it's a little too intense. Actually, again, you could mess around with stuff. Maybe put this one down. Yeah, all right, guys. Anyone have any questions before I get out of hand with with this wall thing over here? All right. So again, you could get creative with it. Obviously, that wasn't really much of a tutorial because I just kind of rushed through it. But as you could see, you could start to get some cool things as you layer your nodes. All right. Does anyone have any questions regarding anything in Blender? Anything at all? Don't you work hard over there? 00 for real, lol. Mouthpiece says. well, unlike Mouthpiece, I got to go now. I will join tomorrow's stream. Awesome. Oh, he had already left. Gosh dang it. What's up, Alex? Just getting off work. About to jump into Blender. Awesome, brother. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Otherwise, we will get into the live tutorial. The live tutorial, guys, if you want to follow along, just go to zoom.com and join in the Zoom. I'm going to post the info to join the Zoom here. And you could feel free to join the Zoom. You'll be able to see much easier and much better. So again, you could click the Zoom link. The people on YouTube are lucky because they could click the link directly. On Instagram, the link in the chat is unclickable, which is really dumb. But all right, does anyone have any questions regarding anything before I get into the live tutorial? The live tutorial is going to be really simple, guys. It's going to be a low poly scene. In this one, we're going to be creating the low poly trees. So the low poly trees will be created in this one. I guess nobody has questions tonight, eh? All right, well, let's get into the live tutorial here quickly. And again, this is going to be the short and the shorts for this week. It's going to be this low poly scene. So with that, if you want to follow along, I guess the people on YouTube are good because they see everything in full screen on YouTube. By the way, guys, this is the first time I'm streaming on YouTube and Instagram at once. Could you guys let me know on YouTube? Is it lagging? Is it good? Is the stream quality good? Is it lagging? People on YouTube, just let me know in the chat if it's lagging or good or what. That way I could fix anything that needs to be fixed if there are issues. All right, and with that, we're going to get into the tutorial. Again, if you want to follow along, just go ahead, join in the Zoom. That is the best place to be, as you'll be able to see it full screen and ask questions and all that good stuff. So this is going to be a couple of different videos. This is going to be a series. We're going to do a low poly scene. This is the shorts for this week. And right now we are going to be creating the low poly trees. So with that, let's get right to it. Looks good to me, Box of Cannon says. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, so that's good. All right, let's rock and roll, guys. Let me know if I'm going too fast. I'll try to go slow. And again, it's going to be very simple. So here, first things first, delete the default cube. That's a must. And then we're going to hit Shift-A. We're going to add in a cylinder. And we're going to change it in the bottom left to 8 vertices. So change it to 8 vertices right here. Then in edit mode, so go into edit mode, which is tab. Again, tab is to go in and out of edit mode. We're going to hit S, Z, and scale it down a little bit. So now you should have a flattened cylinder. Again, we're making the tree. We're going to select the bottom face. So just left click it. And then S key to scale. Again, S as in Santa. So S key, scale it up. So now you have this right here. All right. We're going to hit Shift-A. Add in an empty plane axis or axes. So again, go ahead and add an empty. All right. Then with your tree, which looks nothing like a tree, honestly, we're going to go to the modifiers. We're going to add an array modifier. So array. The array modifier allows for you to duplicate your object non-destructively. Let's increase the count to like 20. So I'm going to type in 20 on the count. And then I'm going to change the factor X to 0. So let's put that to 0. And let's increase the factor Z right here. You could also hold down Shift to increase it in smaller increments. So like that. So now we have something that doesn't look like a tree and it looks terrible. What we want to do is we want to make it scale down as it goes up. And that's what the empty is for. So if we toggle the object offset right here and enable it, in the box right here, let's select the empty. All right, once we have that, select your empty. So we have the empty selected. And now you can see that it's offsetted by this empty. With the empty, we're just going to hit the S key and scale it down like so until we have a tree shape. And boom, look at that. We have a kind of Christmas tree type shape. Very cool. So again, scale down your empty like so. Then I'm going to go into edit mode of the tree. I'm going to select just some random vertices, and I'm going to hit G and Z and bring them down slightly so that it's not completely flat. So as you can see right there. Then I'm going to select the empty once again. If you're unable to select it here, you could select it in your outliner. And I'm going to hit RZ and rotate it on the Z axis. And you can see that I will offset these with the rotation. So none of them will be rotated the same. And now we have some variation with our tree. How awesome is that? Again, this is a low poly scene we're making. Low poly means that it doesn't have a lot of polygons or vertices. So it's basically a simple scene. All right, so now that we got that, let's hit Shift A, add another cylinder, and just hit GZ, bring it down, and in edit mode, S and Shift Z to scale it on all the axes except the Z axis. And now we have the trunk of the tree. Pretty cool. All right, we're almost done. We're going to add some material, and then we're going to distribute this using geometry nodes, which is going to be sick. Because who doesn't want to do geometry nodes for everything? It's awesome. All right. So here we're going to select the tree. On the array modifier, click the little drop down and select apply. So now it is applied, as you can see right there. We're then going to go ahead. Let's go change the timeline to the shader editor. And we're going to hit Z and go into material preview right here. All right, so with the tree selected, click on new to add a new material. Again, guys, let me know if you're got lost somewhere, or if you need help, or if I'm going too fast or too slow. Although too slow is, if I go any faster, it might be too fast. All right, so here, out of the base color, let's get a color ramp. So color ramp right here. And we're going to change this from linear to, well, actually, let's do this after. That way you could see what this is going to do. So just add a color ramp out of the base color, and let's just leave this right here like that for now. Then on the trunk, let's add a new material and just change this to like a brownish color right there. All right, then select the tree. By the way, guys, we're making a low poly scene. And again, we do this live stream and Q&A and tutorial every weeknight. We're going to select the tree, shift select the trunk, Control J to join them. And there we go. It is now a single object. So let's move this to the side, G and X. We're then going to hit Shift A. We're going to add a plane. We're going to do a very simple geometry node setup, probably one of the simplest. So don't get, don't get scared. This is going to be a simple geometry node setup. So on this plane, we're going to change this first to geometry nodes. And we're going to click on new. Let's zoom into where the nodes are. We're going to change this plane. We're going to hit Shift A and add a grid. I know that sounds counterintuitive because it's already a grid, but we're going to add a grid because then we could change the size right here of our grid very easily. Let's do just that. I'm going to left click and drag down and increase this so that my plane is bigger. You could also just input a larger amount into the size X and Y. So now we have a big plane. Brilliant. Let's add the trees as geometry nodes or as instances. So I'm going to hit Shift A. We're going to get an instance on points right here and drop that after. Once again, an instance is just a duplicate of an object, and the points are the same thing as vertices. So it's going to add a duplicate of an object on each of the vertices. That's what this node is going to do. Now we have to dictate what the instance or what the object is going to be. We could go ahead and out of the instance, we could get an object info right here. And for the object, select your tree, which is called cylinder. And now you can see that we have a bunch of trees there. How awesome is that? Pretty cool. Now you can see that this is way too uniform. I don't know who's been in a, well, actually they do have forests like this. If it's like an orchard and they line the trees up like that, but not any natural forest I've ever seen. So let's disorganize this a little bit. After the grid, get a distribute points on faces right here. As you can see, if I Control Shift left click this, as this node implies, or as the name implies, it's going to distribute points on the faces. And since this is plugged into the points, it's then going to add an instance or a tree on each of these points. Now these points are way too many. So I'm going to change this from random to poisson disc. Now poisson in French means fish. That doesn't really help us here. But basically this option gives us this extra ability to set a distance minimum. This is the minimum distance that the points need to be from each other. So if I increase this, you can see that right here, the points have to be at least 0.7 meters from each other. And this will make it so that the trees are not intersecting with each other. So now if I Control Shift left click this, you can see that we have a bunch of trees right here. And let me just go ahead and increase my grid size. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to increase the distance minimum right here. I'm also going to change the scale of these a little bit. I want the scale to be randomized. So to do that, we're going to use a really cool node that I love, which is the random info. The random info node. So right here we have the scale. Again, this is the scale of the trees, as you could see right there. And out of the scale, let's get a random info, or random value, not random info, random value node right here. Now you can see that with this, some of our trees are squished, some are flattened, and it's really weird. And that's because this is set to vector. Again, vector, we're able to change the X, Y, and Z axis. So right here, some of the trees have a 0 scale on the X, Y, and Z axis, and their maximum scale is 1 on the X, Y, and Z. But we want all of these to function the same. So we're going to change this from vector to float. What this means is basically the minimum is going to change the minimum X, Y, and Z axis all at the same time. And the maximum is going to change the maximum X, Y, and Z all at the same time. So if we plug this back in, we can now change this minimum for however small we want the smallest trees. And we could change this maximum for however big we want the biggest trees. And now we got this right here. And of course, we could increase the grid size like so. And check that out. How awesome is that? All right, now our trees still don't have material, so let's do that, and then we will be done. By the way, guys, this .blend, I will post it on blendermania3d.com. If you missed something or you want to check it, again, it will be uploaded to the public chat. So last thing for the material, let's go back to our tree. Go to the shader editor. Again, the main tree, the original tree, the OG tree. Go to the materials and make sure to select the first material, which has our color ramp. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to change the color ramp to constant. And let's bring the white slider down. Now, right now, it's basically going to give us either a white or black color, as you can see right there, which is not what we want. So we want these trees to randomly have whatever color we set here. So out of the factor, let's get an object info set to random. So this object info is going to output a value between 0 and 1. So again, this is outputting a value between 0 and 1. I don't want to get too technical with it, but our color ramp goes from 0 right here to 1 over here. As you can see right here, this stop is on position 1, and this stop right here is on position 0. So if this is outputting a random value between 0 and 1, that means each of these objects has a random value between 0 and 1. And depending on where that falls, it's going to give it a particular color. For example, the black right here is between position 0 or value of 0 to value of 0.538. So any of these that was given a random value between 0 and 0.538 is going to be black. And then anything that's given a value between 0.538 and 1 is going to be white. Now, obviously, we don't want white or black, so let's change this to different green colors. And now we have a variety of trees. We could control left click to add new stops, to add some different colors, and check that out. We now have some different color trees. How awesome is that? Pretty freaking cool. Lastly, we could click right here and select distribute stops from left so that we have an even spacing between them all. And there we go. We now have our low poly forest. Does anyone have any questions regarding the tutorial? Regarding what any of the nodes mean, why something does what it does? Maybe if you got lost. Does anyone have any questions regarding the tutorial? Again, I'm going to post this .blend on blendermania3.com in the public chat. If you missed something, by the way, this was the short for today. So this was the short for today, and we basically learned all of that. Tomorrow, we will continue with this and add a cabin or some kind of house, maybe a low poly fire, and some other stuff to expand the scene. So make sure to save it. Again, I'm going to share this on blendermania3d.com. So let me do that quickly. And again, if anyone has any questions regarding that, let me add a new folder. 3-18-24. All right. Let me name it Low Poly 1. I'm going to share that to the site. All right. Any questions on that? Looks like not. All right. Let me share that to the site. With that, guys, we do this every weeknight. Every weeknight, we have a live Q&A and live tutorial. Feel free to join in. You could ask questions. You could watch the live tutorial. It's a lot of fun. And also, guys, the new course is out. Let me share that quickly. Again, in the course, I'm able to go a little bit slower and expand on it a little bit better because obviously here on the lives, it's a little bit different how it works. Let me get the window for that. New incognito window. Let me stop this share and let me. So anyone who's interested in making scenes in Blender, this course, I've been working on it for the last 2.5 months or so. And it is a course on making 10 different scenes in Blender from A to Z. And again, if you go to udemy.com and just search for my name, Alex Corbard, or you use the link that I'm posting here, you could get the course. Again, it's over 25 hours long. We make 10 different scenes. Some of the scenes we make, I mean, again, go to the link and check it out yourself. Look at the promo video. If it speaks to you, get it. And if it doesn't, hey, just join the free lives. Join blendermania3.com. There's a lot of value everywhere. But you can see we make a living room scene, a surreal landscape, a sci-fi hangar, underwater coral reef scene, an ancient ruin scene, kitchen scene, medieval castle, a magical forest, animated cartoon character scene, and a futuristic cityscape. And it's awesome. Again, go watch the promo video and you'll see what it's all about. So with that, guys, does anyone have any questions at all? I see that I didn't post it on YouTube. Hold on. Hold on. All right. YouTube is, all right, there we go. There's the link for anyone who's wondering. All right. With that, guys, we will do another live tomorrow. So tomorrow, same time, same place. We'll be live on Instagram and YouTube. And of course, the best place to be is on Zoom, because that's where you could ask the questions and see it, see it in full screen. So with that, guys, BlenderMania3D.com is the official site for this community. Go ahead and go there. If you need to message me directly, you can do that there. You could share your work. There's a forum. If you need help, you could post in the forums or message me. And with that, guys, we'll see everyone tomorrow. Ciao for now. Au revoir. And we'll see you guys. Ciao.